everything changes in a single moment. For years, fans believed Borden's story was over, his journey cut short in the most heartbreaking way. Amy tried to move on, the family carried his memory like a shadow, and viewers slowly accepted a Heartland without him. But what if the impossible became real? What if Ty walked back into Heartland, alive, breathing, and ready to reunite with the love of his life? Season 19 begins with the most shocking twist the series has ever delivered: the return of Ty, Borden, and the reunion that leaves Amy in tears, the story of Ty. Amy has always been the beating heart of Heartland. From the moment Ty arrived at the ranch as a troubled young man searching for direction, fans saw sparks of something powerful between him and Amy. Their relationship grew through hardships, healing, and countless moments that shaped not only their lives, but the entire family's journey. They built a home, shared dreams, and welcomed their daughter Lyndy into the world. But then, tragedy struck. Ty's sudden death left Amy shattered, and with it, millions of fans mourned as if they had lost a family member too. Heartland became a show about resilience, about learning to live with loss, and about the courage it takes to move forward even when your heart is broken. Amy's struggle became central to the story, her long nights staring at an empty barn, her tears falling silently as she whispered Ty's name, and her determination to keep going for Lyndy's sake. For seasons, we watched her grow stronger, though the pain never truly faded. By the time season 18 came to a close, Amy had found ways to keep Ty's memory alive. She told stories of his kindness to Lyndy, she leaned on her family when the grief grew too heavy, and she buried her own sorrow deep inside just to function. But no matter how strong she appeared, there were always moments when the mask cracked, when a glance at an old photograph or a fleeting memory would bring tears to her eyes. Amy's journey became one of survival, not just for herself, but for her daughter, and fans admired her quiet bravery. Yet, beneath it all, a question always lingered in the hearts of viewers. What if Ty's story wasn't truly finished? What if there was a chapter left untold? Season 19 dares to answer that question in a way no one expected. The new season begins with a heavy air of nostalgia, reminding us of all the love and loss that brought us here. Amy is still at the ranch, raising Lyndy, teaching her about horses, and carrying on the legacy she and Ty once shared. Life seems steady, though it will never feel completely whole. But hidden beneath the rhythm of ranch life, there's a storm building, something about to shake everything Amy thought she knew. And when it finally arrives, it's not just a twist in the story, it's the kind of moment that takes your breath away. The kind of moment that brings tears even before you understand what's happening. The new season doesn't rush into the shocking reveal. Instead, it begins slowly, almost gently, like the calm before a storm. Amy is shown carrying on with her life at Heartland. Her mornings starting the same way they always have, feeding the horses, saddling up for rides, and guiding her daughter through the lessons of patience and care that she once learned herself. There is peace in the routine, but beneath it lies a quiet sadness. You can feel it in the way Amy looks out over the horizon, as if she's waiting for something. Not just another sunrise, but something her heart has longed for and yet given up on ever seeing again. The early scenes of the season are filled with hints, small details that fans will later look back on and recognize as foreshadowing. A letter tucked away in Jack's drawer, a phone call that Lou answers in secret, a horse that grows restless whenever Amy passes by. They seem ordinary at first, almost too small to matter, but together they create an atmosphere of suspense. It's as though the world of Heartland is holding its breath, preparing for something extraordinary. Even Amy begins to notice strange coincidences, songs that remind her of Ty playing on the radio, dreams that feel so vivid she wakes up calling his name, and quiet moments when she swears she hears footsteps just behind her. But Amy pushes these thoughts aside. She has learned to live without hope, to shield her heart from what it cannot have. For her, imagining Ty alive again feels like a cruel trick, a wound reopening every time she dares to let herself believe. Yet the signs keep building. At night, she finds Lyndy asking questions she can't fully answer. Mom, if Dad was here, what would he say to me before bed? Or do you think Dad still watches us? Amy tries to be strong, but the truth is, she doesn't have answers. And when Lyndy whispers that she had a dream of her father standing by the barn, Amy feels her chest tighten. The line between memory and reality begins to blur. The rest of the family senses it too, though no one speaks openly. Jack grows more protective, keeping watch over Amy and Lyndy as if he knows something is coming. Lou stays busier than usual, distracting herself with work, but her eyes reveal the unease she feels when Amy mentions Ty's name. Even the horses seem to respond differently, as if the energy of the ranch itself is shifting. Heartland has always been a place of healing, a place where the impossible sometimes finds a way to happen. And now that spirit feels alive again, stirring in every shadow and every whisper of the wind. For Amy, the buildup is both comforting and haunting. She finds herself drawn back to old places that remind her of Ty, the trail where they once rode side by side, the pond where they talked about their future, the loft where their love story first began. Each visit stirs up a wave of emotion. She smiles at the memories, but cries when she realizes how much has been lost. And yet, instead of bringing only pain, these memories begin to feel strangely alive, as if they are preparing her for something. By the middle of the episode, the suspense is impossible to ignore. A mysterious figure is seen from a distance, never close enough for Amy to recognize. At first, she thinks it's her imagination, but then she notices details the same stride, the same familiar presence. Fear and hope collide in her chest. She wants to believe, but she's terrified of disappointment. After all these years, could it really be true? Could Ty somehow be alive? The tension builds with every passing scene. The world of Heartland feels like it's on the edge of transformation. The audience knows something monumental is coming, but Amy remains caught between doubt and longing. Her heart tells her one thing, her mind another. And just when she tries to convince herself that she's imagining it all, fate intervenes. A moment of silence, a shift in the air, and everything begins to change. The stage is set for a reunion that will shake the very foundation of Heartland. It happens in the quietest of moments, the kind where time seems to pause and the world holds its breath. Amy is finishing her work at the barn, brushing down Spartan, lost in thought the way she often is when memories of Ty press too heavily on her heart. The sun is setting, casting a golden glow across the ranch, and for a brief second, it feels like every other evening she has endured since Ty's absence. But then, something shifts. There's a stillness, a weight in the air that demands her attention. She hears footsteps slow, steady, deliberate, and though her mind tells her it's just Jack or perhaps Caleb, her heart begins to pound with a rhythm she hasn't felt in years. She turns, and there he is. Ty Borden, not a dream, not a shadow, not a memory replaying itself in her imagination. He is standing there, alive, his eyes fixed on hers, carrying the same mix of warmth and strength that once defined every part of her life. For a moment, Amy can't move. The brush slips from her hand, clattering to the floor, but she doesn't hear it. All she can see is him. Her heart screams his name, yet her lips cannot form the word. She is frozen between disbelief and the overwhelming desire to run into his arms. Ty doesn't speak right away. He simply stands there, his chest rising with a heavy breath, as though he cannot believe this moment is real. His hair is longer, his face marked with lines of struggle, but his presence radiates the same quiet power that once grounded Amy through every storm. He takes a step forward, and then another, until the distance between them begins to shrink. Amy's tears fall before she even realizes she's crying, because deep inside she knows this is not a vision, not a cruel trick of her grieving mind. This is Ty, returned from a journey she never thought possible. The ranch itself seems to respond to his presence. The horses stir, the wind picks up, and even the light of the setting sun feels softer, warmer, as if nature itself is welcoming him home. Amy's breath catches in her throat, and finally, her voice breaks free. She whispers his name, Ty, as though saying it will anchor him in reality, will stop him from fading away like so many dreams before. He smiles, a small, broken smile that carries both apology and relief. And in that smile, Amy sees everything: the years of pain, the distance, and the love that never died. He reaches out his hand, and it's then that Amy moves. Her steps are unsteady, her sobs shaking her chest, but she closes the gap between them. When she finally collapses into his embrace, the world feels whole again. All the nights she spent alone, all the times she told herself to keep going for Lyndy, all the tears shed in silence, they come rushing back in a flood. Ty holds her tightly, as if he too has been waiting, longing, aching for this reunion. No words are spoken, because none are needed. The touch of his arms around her is enough to tell her that this is real, that he is truly here. When the silence finally breaks, his voice is low, rough with emotion. He explains pieces of his absence, fragments of a story that remain shrouded in mystery. There are gaps Amy cannot yet fill, questions that linger like shadows, but none of that matters in this moment. What matters is that he has returned, that against all odds, he has found his way back to Heartland, back to her. The years apart melt away, replaced by the familiar rhythm of two souls reconnecting. Amy's tears do not stop, but now they are mixed with laughter, the sound of joy breaking through sorrow. The return of Ty is not just a reunion, it is a rebirth of everything Heartland has stood for. It is proof that love endures, that hope never truly dies, and that even the deepest wounds can find healing. As Amy holds him, the weight of loss begins to lift, and for the first time in years, her heart feels light. Ty looks at her with the same fierce devotion he always carried, and she knows that this moment is not the end of their story, but the beginning of a new chapter. In the distance, Jack watches silently, his eyes glistening though he quickly wipes the tears away. Lou stands frozen in disbelief, her hand over her mouth as she struggles to process what she's seeing. And little Lyndy, unaware of the gravity of the moment, runs toward the barn, her laughter filling the air. She stops when she sees the man before her, the man from her mother's stories, the man from her dreams. For Amy, this is the moment that shatters every wall she built around her heart. Ty has returned, and with him, the promise of healing, love, and a future that once seemed impossible. The reunion does not strike like lightning, it flows like a river bursting through a dam that has held back too much for too long. Amy clings to Ty as if her arms alone can make up for all the years lost, her sobs breaking the silence of the barn. She does not care how she looks. She does not care about the questions burning in her mind. She only knows that the man she has loved with every fiber of her being is here, alive, warm, solid. Every tear she sheds carries the weight of loneliness, of heartbreak, of nights when she thought she could not go on. And every time Ty brushes a tear from her cheek, it feels like the pain is dissolving. Piece by piece, Amy's voice trembles as she tries to speak. Words stumble out, unfinished sentences choked by tears. She tells him how much she missed him, how many times she wished for just one more moment, how often she prayed Lyndy would know her father not just in stories but in life. Ty listens, his own eyes shining, his own heart heavy with regret. He admits he thought of her every single day, that he carried her memory like a light guiding him through the darkness. For Amy, hearing these words is both agony and relief. Agony because it reminds her of the time they lost. Relief because it proves that the love she held on to was never one-sided, it was alive in him. 2. The reunion is not just between two people, it is between two souls who were torn apart and somehow found their way back together. Amy remembers the nights when she would sit by the fireplace, holding one of Ty's old jackets, breathing in the faint scent that lingered. She remembers the ache in her chest when she looked at Lyndy and saw his eyes staring back at her. And now here he is, holding her again. The tears streaming down her face are not just sorrow, but release. For so long, she locked her grief away, hiding it behind her strength for the sake of her daughter. Now in Ty's arms, she allows herself to feel it all, the hurt, the longing, the love. When Lyndy steps into the barn, the moment transforms into something even more powerful. At first, she hesitates, her small frame frozen in the doorway. She has seen pictures of her father, heard countless stories, dreamed of him in her sleep, but now he is standing right in front of her. Her wide eyes dart between Amy's tear-streaked face and the man holding her mother so tightly. Ty kneels down, opening his arms, his voice breaking as he whispers her name. Lyndy takes a cautious step forward, then another, until finally she runs into his embrace. Ty's tears fall freely as he holds his daughter for the very first time in years. Overwhelmed by the miracle of the moment, Amy's tears intensify, but now they are joined by laughter, soft and trembling. The three of them stand together, a family reunited, the pain of the past eclipsed by the hope of what lies ahead. The barn feels sacred, like a cathedral built not of stone, but of memories, love, and second chances. The silence between words is filled with meaning, and the sound of their breathing together is more comforting than any promise could ever be yet. Even in the beauty of reunion, questions hover in the background. Where has Ty been? Why did he leave? How did he survive when everyone believed he was gone? Amy feels the pull of these questions, but she refuses to let them steal this moment. There will be time for explanations, time for answers, time for truth. For now, there is only this Ty's arms around her, Lyndy's laughter echoing through the barn, and the certainty that love is stronger than lost dawn as the night falls. Amy sits with Ty on the porch of the ranch, their hands intertwined, her head resting against his shoulder. The tears still come, but they are gentler now, softened by the knowledge that the impossible has happened. She looks at him not as the man she lost, but as the man she found again. And in that moment, she realizes that the reunion is not the end of grief, but the beginning of healing. She will cry for what was taken, but she will also cry for what was given back. Amy's tearful reunion with Ty is more than a scene in a story. It is a reminder that love does not end, that even in the darkest places, it waits for the chance to return. For Amy, the tears will keep flowing, but they no longer carry only sorrow. They carry gratitude, relief, and the unshakable belief that no matter what challenges lie ahead, her family is whole again. And in the world of Heartland, that is the greatest miracle of all.